If you consider yourself a spiritual person and you're feeling troubled by what's going on in the United States, this video is for you. I'm going to share some thoughts that I have received about the bigger picture of what's going on and how you can contribute and offer your energy to the solution and not just complain and grieve about the problem. So, are you ready for a story? Once upon a time, most of the countries in the world, most of the civilizations operated on a feudal system. There were kings and overlords, and then there were the masses who did not have much choice over their lives. And a group of people in Europe got tired of that, and they came over and created the United States of America, a democracy. They declared independence from Britain. Now, independence was a step in our evolution, empowerment, being able to use your free will to own land and make choices to pursue the American dream, the pursuit of happiness. However, America has been like a 2-year-old child. In other words, we've been stuck in this perception and this ideology of independence for a long time. And we haven't graduated to what would be the next inevitable step on our journey, which would be interdependence, to recognize that we need each other. Not just we, but the whole world is one global community. Now more than ever, with the advent of the internet, there's no one country anymore. We're all connected and we need to work together. So this whole independence thing is getting in our way of evolving to the next level. So every civilization on Earth has had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you could always chart, if you're into history, the beginning of the end by looking at the death of the middle class. The health of a middle class can tell you how healthy a society is. But when it's mostly poor people and some rich people and very little middle class, it's the beginning of the end. Does that mean it's inevitable that America is not going to make it? I don't know. I don't hold that thought. I believe in miracles. I see somebody like Marianne Williamson putting her heart and soul in changing the conversation, and I feel great about that. But for those of us who are wanting peace inside, to look at all this and be okay with the collapse of something in time, just like we learn to be okay with the ending of a relationship, or somebody dies. Everyone dies, right? Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So what we can do while we watch the United States inevitably collapse, not to say that it might not be reborn in a form that is much more healing, but what we can do is hold space and be at peace with it. Now, some of us may be guided to join people like Marianne Williamson. You may feel this passion for creating an alternative, and that's great. Just make sure that you stand for something rather than stand against something. But many of us are just going to hold space and be at peace and just let it be okay that things are changing. Now, you've noticed that there's polarization going on this beautiful planet. And in the United States, what that looks like is people who want to go back to the past and, create the good old days are at odds with people who want progress, evolution, maturity, healing. So these kinds of polarities have always existed in our country. But politicians used to be able to argue and then have lunch together and be friends. So that doesn't happen anymore. The polarities have gotten so wide between the left and the right that it's painful. There's violence in those polarities. It could even be another civil war. But those of us who have done enough inner work that realize that taking sides and sticking to our opinions about what's right and what's wrong doesn't serve us and it doesn't serve the totality, we have another job, and that is to hold space, to be the solution. The solution doesn't take sides. It sends love, light, and compassion to both sides and witnesses the polarity without getting sucked in. That's you and I. Our job is to just be fair witnesses and love those that are suffering, send love to those that have forgotten that we're all on the same side. No matter our opinions and ideologies, we're all in this together. And sooner or later, we are going to go from this independence thing to interdependence. Sooner or later, we're going to go from capitalism, using capitalism as an excuse for greed, using capitalism as an excuse to firm up the belief in separation, every man for himself, to a more evolved capitalism, which could include socialism, where we're all in this together. If one of us falls down, we pick them up. We don't get happy, alone, isolated by building a kingdom of our own. Our happiness comes from being together, working together, and loving all the opposites, all the polarities, all the opinions, just rising above all that and being the presence of love. I love you. Thanks for listening. Take care.